Hello, this is Josiah, and I'm going to go follow up on my previous video about why Pokemon Legends ZA is such a disappointment. Now, you might be thinking, well, you said everything you wanted to say in the last video, right? Well, actually, no, because I was distracted by my gameplay, and I wanted to go into more detail of my thoughts and opinions on the game itself and the footage I watched. Now, for the record, this video is going to be edited, so it will have little clips, whatever clips I want to throw in there, and B-roll footage from Legends Arceus by another channel, and I give credit to them right now. It's Nintendo World, spelled with a U at the very end. So it's Nintendo World, as it's pronounced. That's the channel name. So if you want to see where this footage came from, go there. That said, I am going to go over several things in this video, including why the graphics are bad, why there's literally no exploration in this game, why the combat is horrible, and as cherry on top, I'm going to go over the critic reviews as well. And finally, I'm going to talk about why Arceus is better in every way. Now, I know one thing though. In my last video, I got a few comments on it. I was pleasantly surprised. People are, interacting on my video. Yay, I thought. But then I read the comments. And, well, one comment read, "Did you even play it?" No, I didn't. Because, as I said in my comment, I was able to watch enough footage online to come to the conclusion that it's not worth buying. That's why I never bought it and didn't play it myself. The next comment on it reads as such: "You never actually explained what was wrong with Legends ZA. You just kept calling it a disappointment. Like that's supposed to mean something. Watching a bit of it on Twitch doesn't exactly make you an expert, and apparently one review on a Twitch stream was all it took for you to make up your mind. If you've got real criticism, maybe try explaining it instead of repeating it's disappointing for 19 minutes straight." And I replied by telling them I watched a total of 8 hours worth of the game before I came to my conclusion. And they clearly didn't watch the video all the way through, because if they had, they would know that I had recorded and said in the video my thoughts on the game and specific parts of it. That's the whole reason why I'm making this follow-up video, to clarify those things that I wasn't exactly clear on because I was distracted by gameplay. And apparently they decided to go back and watch the video this time, or at least part of it, because they have this reply to say. Right, because watching 8 hours on Twitch totally equals knowing everything about it, and saying it's a downgrade from Arceus isn't really insight. That's just a vague complaint dressed up as criticism. Well, if that's your thought on the matter, then I have one thing to say.
We're sorry. I'm deeply sorry. Sorry.
Now, with that totally legitimate apology out of the way, let's go over the first thing. The bad graphical quality of Pokemon Legends ZA. And from this point forward, I'm going to be intermittently playing B-roll footage from Pokemon Legends ZA to reinforce my point. So, without further ado, let's tackle this turd. Now then, as I said in my last video, the graphics in this game are bland, lazy, and horrible. Look at this footage. Look at the walls. It's literally copy and pasted over and over and over. The windows, copied and pasted over and over and over. Look, this scene right here, perfect example. Copy and paste for the entire freaking block. The graphics in Pokemon ZA are lazy, bad, and it's obvious the development team cut corners whenever they could. Now, I've seen some reviewers come up with reasons for this. Some of them try to make excuses for it, others try to take a neutral stance. Me? I'm gonna roast this bitch. The developers obviously wanted to literally cut corners in every possible sense of the word. I don't broke record there, but the point I'm trying to make is they did not want to put the time and effort into this game. I don't know if this is the same team that made Arceus, but honestly, it's hard to believe it is with the lackluster effort that was put into the graphics of this game. I honest to God cannot believe what I'm seeing here. And I was in the same sense of disbelief when I watched it on Twitch. What is that? Even the B-roll footage zooms in on that, like, what the fuck is that? Oh my god, wow. Some reviewers have said the reason why everything looks so lackluster and lazy is because they had to render the entire map at once. And I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, so you have to render this entire map all at once. There's no way around that. Oh wait, yeah there is. It's a game developer's technique that calls all graphics currently not in the viewpoint of the player. Something you used in Arceus. Actually, I'm not sure if they used it in Arceus. I'm pretty sure they did. Because loading an entire zone like that would be a performance hit from hell. The point I'm trying to make is, no, that's not an excuse. Even if they did use it in Arceus, which I'm pretty sure they did. There is no way that passes. Just no. Plenty of other big open world games have used this developer's programming technique that calls the field so that only what the player's looking at is rendered. If performance was really a concern for the development team, instead of taking the lazy way out and copy and pasting a bunch of buildings, what they could have done instead was use that developer technique. It's not that hard to do. Even I could do it. And I literally don't know anything about Unity. Or Unreal Engine for that matter. It's such a simple game development technique that there's even a add-on or / plugin for Unreal that does it for you. All you have to do is adjust how far you want the calling to go from your point of view. So that's not an excuse at all. Now then, another excuse I've heard is maybe the budget wasn't there. I'm sorry, have you met Nintendo? Have you met the Pokemon Company? Budget wasn't there? Budget wasn't there?
So that was a fucking lie.
Methinks somebody is huffing the copium really hard with that one. Because there's no way there wasn't enough of a budget. I'm just sorry, no. This is the Pokemon Company / Nintendo we're talking about here. Money isn't a problem with them. In fact, they're throwing probably close to $1 billion already in court fees with their lawsuit against Palworld. Money isn't a problem for Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. It's not. I'm at lost words. That is just so dumb. That is the worst possible excuse you could possibly come up with. Now then, in regards to exploration, this links back into my remark about the copy and paste. Because all you got, whereas Legend Arceus had multiple zones, large ones at that, to explore, you could argue they were very empty, but that argument is weak at best because there are Pokemon at just about every turn in every zone. Sure, there wasn't much to say in regards to architecture of those zones, but you couldn't go more than 10 feet without running into a Pokemon. And that besides, the zones were still way more detailed than this. They had caves. They had underground passages. What does this have? 2 subterranean zones and a copy and paste ceiling area. Wow. What the hell, developers? There is no exploration to be had in this game. You won't find anything new. Except maybe a new Pokemon. Then again, no you won't, because everybody who's played the Gen 6 has already seen all these Pokemon before. So, yeah. No. So while that segment was short, I gave my point. Now, onto the combat system. I didn't go into detail about it last time because I thought it wasn't necessary, but I will this time. The cooldown combat system I thought was cool at first. And then I started to really watch it. And I thought, and I said before, this is my last video, this combat system sucks! And the reason why I say that is because you might, at first glance, you might look at it and go, wow, it's a live-action combat system! This is awesome! When in reality, no, it's not. All the developers did was take the combat system and add cooldowns to it. It's still turn-based. However, you don't see the turns anymore. It's a developer's trick that I am very aware of that is often used to try and hide the fact that you're playing a turn-based combat system still. So, if you will notice in that footage that we just saw, you couldn't spam attacks. you had to wait for the other Pokemon to attack before you could attack back. Why do you think that is? Well, the answer's obvious. It's still turn-based. They give the illusion of live action by making it so that turns are applied dynamically instead of statically. So, think of it as a half-assed ATB system. When their ATB bar fills up, they can attack again. However, that's where the similarities between the ATB combat system and this end. Because beyond a cooldown timer that leads to units being able to attack, there are no more similarities in ATB. The opponent can't do 2 attacks in a row unless you choose not to attack. Then it just skips your turn and goes to theirs. So in summation, the reality of the matter is, if you don't spam attacks, you lose out on your turns. That means you have to constantly button mash, just constantly mashing a button or a key going, just to stay in pace with the opponent's Pokemon. That's how it maintains the illusion that it's a live-action combat system. It's not. It's still turn-based. It's just dynamic turns instead of static turns. As I said in the last video, they tried something new and failed. And now we get to our next part. Second to last, by the way. Something I didn't cover in my last video. The critic reviews.
No.
Those user stores ain't looking too good, Pokemon Company. Oh, wow. Yes, so apparently the user score is a 4.1. So for all those stout Pokemon defenders out there, how do you explain this? And by the way, you might point to the critic stores and go, but the critic store is a 79. Look. And to that I go, that's bullshit. 90% of those people are paid by Nintendo to say that. Don't believe me? Look it up. Reviewers are paid to give favorable reports to companies, and as a result, they get money under the table from the company. So critic reviews are invalid. Completely. Don't even consider using them. The only critic review that matters is the user critic store. And it's looking bad. Real bad. And on to my final segment. Why Pokemon Legends Arceus is better than ZA in every possible way. I went over this in my last video, but I'm going to go over it again. Pokemon Legends Arceus does everything right. They shake up the Pokemon formula. No longer are you going to gyms. No longer are you doing the same thing over and over and over. Now, it can be made, an argument can be made to say that, well, instead of gyms, you're going to these wild Pokemon who have become rabid and aggressive. That's a weak argument at best. A completely invalid one at worst. You're not going after gyms. You're not going after badges of any kind. In fact, the only, quote, badges you're trying to earn are ranks with the company you now work for in Pokemon research. For those of you who are unaware of what Pokemon Legends Arceus time period is based in, it is based at the very beginning of Pokemon's history. Like, during this era in Arceus, people were still terrified of Pokemon. There wasn't no, I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. It was, oh my god, it's a floating mushroom, breathes fire, run! That's what it was back then in this current timeline of Arceus. Now, some people embrace the idea of being partners with Pokemon. That's where the whole Pokeball concept came from. And you actually make Pokeballs from apricorns in this one, hailing back to the origins of how the first Pokeballs were made. And it's not like modern Pokeballs either, as you've seen in this footage. If you played Arceus, you know what I'm talking about. For those who don't, when you throw a Pokeball at them, instead of getting a doot-doot-doo, it blows steam as if it's trying to pressurize what it's just captured. And to let you know that it's successfully captured, it doesn't go doo. It simply shoots out a spark telling as a notification saying, successfully captured Pokemon. It's very rudimentary when you think about it in regards to early Pokeball technology. There is so much this game does right. We get a detailed or semi-detailed history of the past of the of Pokemon of this region. We get a detailed history on it. And yes, we are isekai'd into the past. You can ignore that quite easily and suspend your disbelief and enjoy the fact that we're here where it all started. Where everything that made Pokemon what it is today, what it is. And it includes the introduction of the antagonist in the past, thanks to Arceus. We helped shape the future of Pokemon ourselves. We are an extreme part of why it became what it is today. From that lore perspective, that's huge. That means we actively shape what the future is in the Pokemon universe. Now, as in regard to other things of why Pokemon Arceus did right, exploration. You can explore everywhere in this place. There's so many reasons to explore, so many caves, so many things to look around in. Just in this footage you're seeing right now, yes, it might seem a little empty, but if you look around, you can't go through 10 feet without running into a Pokemon. And it's not like they didn't have care for the Pokemon of where to put them. They thought of okay, what Pokemon would be in this area? Maybe a Zubat. Okay. In the swampy areas, they put Hippo, I can't remember the Pokemon's name. They also put Gastlies that hang around the area. Like, Christ. There's so much attention to detail. And the combat system. Getting to the combat system, why I love it so much. They took a tried and entire combat system and added a much needed twist to it. Sure, there's not too much of a difference, but the fact that now your moves have a strong and agile style adds way more dynamics than you think to combat. Because now it adds precedence and thought to your attacks. Instead of going, I'll just attack this and wait for it to hit me. No, instead, you have to make a choice. Should I use an agile attack for weaker damage but a faster turn come around? Or a strong attack that could potentially either knock this Pokemon out or weaken enough for me to capture it, but as a result, I have to wait long for my next turn. It makes you think! Now, jumping back to Pokemon Legends ZA for a moment here, look at combat here. Compare it to Arceus. Is there any thought to put into this combat system? No, there's not. You're literally just spamming attacks. That's all you do in this game, is spam attacks. There's no thinking about it. There's no strategy involved. You're just button spamming, as I said earlier. You're just doing this. That's all you're doing. Unlike in Pokemon Legends Arceus, where you have to take time and think about your moves. If you don't, you're gonna pay for it. Possibly losing the battle. Like, I cannot sing this game's praises enough, as I said in my last video. It's just impossible to not sing my praises enough about this game. But, with that said, my time is coming to an end here. So, I'm just going to leave you with the closing statements. As I said in my last video, Legends ZA is a disappointment in every way possible. It's a downgrade of everything Arceus had going for it. Instead of an improvement on mechanics, all we got was a downgraded, lazy version of Arceus, basically. And that sucks. So, with that said, I'm going to show myself out on this video, and I hope if you've been watching this far, you like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll catch y'all later. This is the Saya, signing out.